Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Vaughn with How She Got There and Next In podcast. And we are so excited today to have Christal Hector. Now, Christal is very special to us here at Next Level because in March of 2023, this year, she won our Founders Live Nashville edition. And she's going to talk to us today about her company called TuneHatch. Hi, Christal. How are you?
Hi, Jamie. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast today.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things I love to do is tell people stories. So I want to tell your origin story and then how you got to create this absolutely amazing company, TuneHatch. So first question I always ask is, where are you from and what did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
So I am from sunny Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Okay.
And growing up, I always wanted to be a paleontologist. When I was a little kid, I was just obsessed with dinosaurs. I had this CD which taught me about the Jurassic period and different eras during which dinosaurs lived, and I was just obsessed.
Well, I think that's our very first paleontologist, if I can remember correctly. But I am 45 and still love dinosaurs. So, nothing wrong with that at all. So tell me about your educational journey. So college and how you got to, I'm going to start that question again. So Christal, tell me about your educational journey.
So I went to undergrad at Vanderbilt University here in Nashville, Tennessee. And when I graduated, went to New York to work in finance for a bit and then returned to get my MBA at Vanderbilt again.
Okay, so was finance something that you had wanted to do since like maybe starting high school? Was that the career trajectory that you were really hoping to go on?
Yeah, well, finance was something that a lot of people at Vanderbilt went into. It was one of those careers that 30% of the undergraduate population talked about. So it just kind of made sense, especially given my economics major. So just made sense to me at the time.
Okay, so let's talk career trajectory. So you go to New York. What are you doing in New York and how does that lead you back to Nashville?
Well, I was working in finance as a financial analyst at Citibank in New York. And at the time, I'd already had the idea for TuneHatch. So it was just super hard to balance working full-time in finance while trying to start up a company on the side. So a big part of my motivation to return to Vanderbilt for my MBA was essentially to have more time to work on my business.
Okay. And coming back, where did that idea of TuneHatch start from? Like, what was the inspiration for it?
So this comes down to my inspiration for coming to Nashville for school in the first place. So, I knew that Nashville was Music City and I'd always wanted to get published for songwriting, and in that effort, I met a lot of really talented musicians who wanted to make music their full-time careers, but just didn't have a straightforward way to make it happen. So just talking to a lot of people in the community, whether it was musicians, people who worked at venues, it became pretty evident that live music presented the best opportunity for musicians to make a living in music. And it's my philosophy and my business's philosophy that in order to help musicians, we also have to uplift the other players in the industry, so the venues and the fans as well. So TuneHatch, our company, is looking at how can we help the ecosystem in live music as a whole to make everyone better off.
Yeah. And there has to be a better way of doing it. It really is. If you aren't paying attention to the news in Nashville, you won't know about there's a certain bar downtown that has its circuit and you have to follow their rules and you make very little money. And then streaming, I worked in the music industry for years and you could tell when the streaming checks went out because they were so shocked that it was fractions of pennies. And how do we make a living on this without having to get a second job? So I think this idea of TuneHatch is great. So explain to the viewers exactly how TuneHatch works for the artist, the venue, and the fans.
So for the artists and the venues, I think that part is the most straightforward part. Essentially, booking, promoting, and ticketing shows. The platform is an all-in-one streamlined interface to make that happen. On the booking side, it's about connecting the artists to the venues that make the best sense for them and where they are in their career. Same for the venues, finding the best artists to perform at their shows and who fit the demographics of the kinds of people who go to those venues. The promoting part is pretty straightforward. We do things like auto-generating flyers and help post to Instagram and other, social media without, venues and artists having to do that manually. Nice. So we take a lot of the time out of the process of promoting shows. And then the ticketing is pretty straightforward as well. One unique thing about our ticketing process for the fan in particular is that fans can actually preview the show. So essentially, every show listing has an artist profile attached to it for the artists that are performing there. So a fan can actually go in, listen to that artist's music, check out their social media, their TikTok, their Instagram, and really understand who is this artist and is it the kind of artist that I want to see. Prior to Tune Hatch, if you were to go to, an everyday venue's website, you would really only see a flyer for the show.
Right.
And with just a flyer, it's words. If you've never heard of the artists, it's very hard for a fan to decide on whether or not it's the right show for them. So we're trying to make it easier for fans on that side to decide on which shows to go to. Yeah. And on the flip side, also make it easier for artists and venues to attract the fans who perhaps would not have gone to the show if they hadn't had the ability to preview those shows.
Right. I think that's really innovative, giving them access immediately to that artist's music so that they can decide whether or not that's an artist that they'd like to view. So when an artist wants to be a member of Tune Hatch, how does that process work?
It's super simple. An artist just has to go to tunehatch.com, sign up as an artist, and from there they have access to booking, promoting, ticketing, fill out their profile. The better your profile is, of course, the easier it will be for venues to book you, and the better experience that fans will have as well when they discover your profile.
Nice. So is there a vetting process for the artist, or it's any artist that's wanting to get on a booking schedule?
Yeah, we're super open. It's really any artist that wants to get involved. When it comes to who decides on who's performing, that is up to the venue. We're just making things a lot more streamlined and transparent.
Yeah. So what artist-wise, what kind of genres are on your platform on Tune Hatch?
There's honestly a little of everything.
Really?
One thing, yeah, you'll find everything there. And one thing that we do in particular is we let artists choose a holistic genre, so like rock, pop, indie, and whatnot. And then in addition to that, they can actually type in how they would define their genre. So under rock might be something like, I don't know, 70s influence. Honestly, I have no ideas. It can be anything, as long as, whatever creative way they want to describe themselves, they can put that in as well.
Well, that's a great idea, because rock music does span so many genres in and of itself. And then here being in Nashville, you have classic country and you have bro country and you have all of those different niches within one big label. I think that's a great idea. So tell me, how did you and your co-founders go about starting this? Was there an organization that you worked with, pitch competitions that you were in to help get funding? How did all of that come together?
Yeah, so once the idea for Tune Hatch came about, I went through the One Trees programming. So the One Trees, our innovation center here at Vanderbilt. They've been super supportive throughout the entire process of getting Tune Hatch from an idea to launch state. And basically going through their program really helped educate me at the time, and then later on my co-founders, on how to do customer discovery, how to really understand how to build our product in a way that was aligned with what our customers were looking for. And so, through all of that, we eventually got micro grants to actually build our MVP, launch the product. We went through quite a few pitch competitions like Founders Live, most recently the BitCon Blacks in Technology Conference pitch competition. We were very fortunate to have done well in that.
You did very well in that, not just well, but very well.
Thank you. We were definitely not expecting to win there, but thankful for the support. And just, like you said, putting together the grants, the pitch competition wins, and just using that to fund our ability to work on Tune Hatch. Okay.
So if somebody wants to, let me rephrase this question. Are you looking for investors, or are you looking for even more mentors in this within Tune Hatch? Or you guys think that you're kind of set on that trajectory of getting things up and rolling?
We definitely have a strong mentor pool. But we are currently raising a pre-seed round of $550,000. 120 of that has been committed. That's through the Techstars accelerator that we're currently in.
Nice.
And we're hoping to close out our pre-seed round within the next 2 months.
Okay, so how do people get involved if they want to support your venture and want to become an investor?
Yeah, I would love to have a conversation. My email address is crystal@tunehatch.com.
And we'll put it
Um,
on the screen for everyone to see.
and I think that's the best way to just start a conversation and see if it's a good fit.
So you're a woman of color in a very heavily male dominated industry in technology. How do you navigate that? How do you think we inspire more women to get involved in entrepreneurship and technology?
I think it really comes down to community. You
Mm-hmm.
know, people coming together, feeling energized by hearing about what other people are working on, hearing about how they've overcome problems that you may be facing in the journey of either starting a business, getting involved in one that
Mm-hmm.
already exists. And at the end of the day, in my experience, just having people around me that have been so supportive has been the easiest or the best way to go about,
Mm-hmm.
building my own business as a woman and a person of color in
Yeah.
industries.
So tell me if you have a piece of advice for somebody that's just graduating college and deciding to maybe take that step, what would it be?
Just get started.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes the hardest part is to take that first step. We often get stuck in the ideation phase, wanting things to be perfect. And I think there's a quote that says, perfection is the enemy of good enough for success, something of that nature. But
Mm-hmm.
the whole ethos of that is essentially things don't have to be perfect for them to be great. So
Yeah.
just go out there, take the first step, and that's the way to do it.
That's great advice. I don't know if anything ever is perfect. You may think it is, and then you start putting it together, and I think you learn from your failures way more than you do your successes. But Christal, we are so excited to see the trajectory of you and a Tune Hatch. We cannot wait to see where you go and how this company is going to explode. I really do think that you are the next big thing to help artists launch their careers. I'm very glad to call you my friend on top of all of
Thank
that.
you.
You're welcome. So, everyone, if you liked what you heard today, make sure to follow us here on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Also, follow Tune Hatch and get to know some amazing new artists that you might never have thought about going and seeing.